Hello, everyone. Welcome to eLearnChat, where talk is knowledge. I'm Rick Zanotti, and today we've got with us a special guest coming all the way from Barcelona, Spain. Her name is Rosalie Ledda, but first, let's do our quick introduction. Here we go. And here we are. Hello, Rosalie. How are you?
Hello, Rick. How are you? I'm fine. And you?
I am doing great. And, most people don't know, but we could do this whole show in Spanish if we wanted to, but then most of the audience wouldn't understand. But Rosalie speaks Spanish fluently. She's originally, you told me, from the Philippines.
Yes.
And then when she was 4 years old, immigrated to Spain and also speaks English fluently. So very bilingual. And most people don't know, but I was born in Argentina and came here to the U.S. when I was 3 years old. So we are both immigrants to our countries. But English is really probably my first language because when you're a little kid, I learned Spanish first, but English became my primary. And it sounds like your Spanish and English are both very good.
Yeah, the thing is here in Barcelona as well, we have Catalan. So the thing is we can say that I'm trilingual as well.
You're Catalan. And I learned Castellano.
Castellano, yes.
Or as they say in Argentina, Castellano.
Castellano, yeah.
So, Rosalie, you're an instructional designer, a program manager. You do interface with clients. Where do you work?
Well, I'm working in ELearnChat. That is a company that it's a little bit different from different companies that I was working on because the idea behind ELearnChat is to link industries with vocational. Because sometimes it's really difficult to explain what are we doing in ELearnChat. The idea is that we ask ourselves once a day, and then we said, okay, what happens when a student ends his course and goes and looks for a job? When they finally find a job, they realize that he has missed some information about technology because what the practical exercises that he has been doing in all these courses maybe are not really related to the last technology. So the idea is ELearnChat goes and select the best manufacturers, talk to them, and we said to them, okay, you have to get involved and let us use your knowledge and bring that knowledge to the educational institutions, because otherwise, in the future, when you are looking for employees, they are not going to know your technology or at least the best technology to develop their job. You will have to spend a lot of time explaining, training them, and until they are experts on that. Why, if imagine that you are in a situation that the students they know already the last technology, okay? And then you are asking for, let's say, installers that they know already your technology. You gain a lot of time, and you have a very employable people that know already your technology and are ready to go and do the job. So that's what we do in ELearnChat. We develop educational programs. But instead of focusing only on clients, if we can talk about clients, our really client here is the institution, and our outcome or our idea here is improve education at the end.
Okay. So what kind of training do you actually do? It sounds like you do anything from equipment training to process training. What do you specialize in, or is it just general training for what people in the institution need?
For now, we are more focused on vocational training.
Okay.
Because vocational training are more related to doing things with hands that involves manipulating things. from the different projects that I belong, or I've been doing a lot of things, these things were not really as important as happens in this in vocational training, because at the end, students have to know how to do
Right.
things. I mean, installers have to install an antenna, and they are not okay. We can use e-learning, but at the end, we need real hands-on practices to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to do that, we need equipment, and these equipments are belongs to the companies, and we have to ask the companies to get involved and leave institutions to have those equipment. Otherwise, when the students arrive to the market, they didn't have the opportunity to practice with the real
Right.
materials that are on the market. Maybe I've seen a lot of schools that are doing their practices with some equipments that are maybe about 20 years ago, and they are no more useful for
Mm-hmm.
today's work.
Right.
So what kind of course is that, or what kind of employees are we developing for the economic global, and I don't know. So
Sure.
that's the main idea.
So what kind of mix is there in the training that you do between e-learning and hands-on training and instructor-led training? What kind of mix is there, or percentage would you say is the high? Sounds like hands-on training is one of the biggest. But
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be, because the thing is, the most in vocational training, the most important things is they have, as I already mentioned, they have to do a lot of things. So the practical materials, let's say that it has to be about an 70% of the content, because okay, we have the knowledge, but at the end, what they have to develop is skills and attitudes. So we cannot rely on only on knowledge, but we have to pick up that knowledge and find a way to being able to apply to something in particular. So we work a lot about project-based learning, or about solving real problems that, for example, installers have in the real life.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to bring that problems, put it in schools, and work about that problem, and then find the solution by using the knowledge and equipment.
Now, what part of the training is e-learning, and what kind of tools do you use when you do e-learning?
Well, the part that we can use as an e-learning, well, the thing is that we are not really using e-learning in this case.
Mm-hmm.
What we use is a mix of blended learning,
Okay.
I would say. So we use an LMS to put all the learning contents. We have the practical exercises in the learning materials. We use the forums to promote discussions beyond the classes, because there are different discussions in classes. But we don't want the discussions to be only at that place. We want them to get access from their home or from wherever they are,
Mm-hmm.
and then promote that discussions and make them think beyond the classes. So that's another way to use the forums in a face-to-face training, in a blended learning course.
Now, how's that working out as far as blended learning? Because from my experience, it works really well. And what age group are the students usually?
Actually, we are working with the students from 15 and above.
Great. Okay.
Yes.
So all the way from high school to university level?
And for the projects I'm working now, no, only for vocational training,
Right,
which
okay.
are more or less at this age, 15, 16, 17, 18.
Great. Okay. And when you do the blended e-learning or the blended learning, is there, or have you, I know you sometimes retweet things like Captivate things. Do you use any of the e-learning tools?
Yes, for sure. The thing is that, as I mentioned, we have the knowledge content.
Mm-hmm.
What we do is those things that we can make it digital, to make it accessible we created using authoring tools like Captivate, so the students are able to use it in class with the instructor, even in the class or something. Yes.
Yeah. Now, now you're an instructional designer. What kind of background? How did you get into instructional design, and what did you study to become an instructional designer?
I have a degree in education by the University of Barcelona.
Great.
And from that time, e-learning doesn't really exist. I mean, at least in Spain. So we have something, it wasn't e-learning, it was distance learning, which was you enroll for a course and the course send you a CD and something like this. How I come over here, I think it was by chance, because I started in the training industry doing face-to-face trainings, instructor-led trainings in a company 2005. And then I moved to another 2 years later to an e-learning company. And then I started and I saw the needs of the students, the needs of the client, focusing on an e-learning course. I understand after doing a lot of reports regarding the satisfaction of the courses, what are the expectations of the students when they take a course. And the most reliable information was that people, okay, it's good to take courses. They really appreciate that. But what they really appreciate the most is that these courses have to be for a purpose. I mean, are they going to earn something? Are they going to be promoted if they are good at their job? Or I don't know. But yeah, everybody wants to take a course, or maybe not. But otherwise, we have to give them a reason. I mean, there are a lot of courses that we make them mandatory for employees, and after that, most of them they think that they are not really reliable for their productivity or to improve their performance. That those things that make me think a lot. And then when I moved to the Department of e-learning development, then I put all this information and I started to create my courses. This is more or less how I started to design and develop e-learning courses.
That's great. Now, you mentioned when we were talking earlier that you use PowerPoint, or you were using PowerPoint, but you really believe more in scenario-based training.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that, okay, the thing is I prefer scenario-based training because at the end, if you design it very well, you can simulate a scenario where the students are going to put in practice their knowledge. I mean, we can rephrase information, we can remember information, but at the end, what makes us remember something is to put it in practice. I mean, no way. The problem is that doing a scenario-based training requires time and requires to know the field. So it's important for you to stay in contact with the expert of the company, of the expert of that topic. So you have to do good questions. So what are you doing? At what time? What are the main difficulties you encounter every day, and how do you solve them? What mistakes do you think are your colleagues doing? Something like that. But I understand that for some companies, this exercise is really difficult, and most of them tends to do some kind of page turners courses, then a final quiz and a final exam. So it depends on every company. But always that I have a project in front of me, I try to at least maybe if we cannot create a scenario, a whole scenario-based training, maybe at some point we have to make or simulate those scenarios, because students are expecting to do that in a security way. I mean, they don't want to practice in a real life. They need to practice previously, see what happens, and if they know they are doing it wrong, have the opportunity to correct their mistakes.
Yeah. How much time is spent on safety training, especially in the vocational fields?
Sorry?
How much time is spent on safety training, especially being in the vocational fields? They work with equipment that can be dangerous, things like that. And are there requirements, for example, in Spain, to do safety training?
Yeah, for sure. The thing is, we have a law that belongs from 1995. The thing is that the occupational risk prevention is something like, okay, it's mandatory. We are going to do it in that way just to avoid fines. But in vocational training, it's really important to take care of that because we are with the students. Most of them not really. They have 15, 16, we have talked previously. So when they have to use an equipment previously on that, we have to work on them and explain them why safety is important, why what would happen if they don't do things correctly, because uh, it can be dangerous sometimes because from other projects we are working with fiber optics.
Yes.
And it's really dangerous if they look directly to the cable, if the lights are in there, because it can make damages on your retina, but you don't know already, but it's burning your retina. So
Right.
it's important first to before doing the practical exercises, we worked previously on safety issues.
For example, safety equipment, things like that.
Yeah, for sure. Firstly, it's the most important thing. Previously, because otherwise we can have problems. Rick?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I thought I lost you. I was saying that when teaching with equipment, is important for us to teach the healthy things, the safety things, practical the good practices in using them, because it's the good way to avoid, to prevent damages on everybody.
Right. Right. Now, you mentioned that you use the LMS to track the students to find out how they're doing. What else do you use the LMS for? Because it's funny, here a lot of people use LMSs in a lot of large corporations and schools, but they don't do much more than just launch a course. Very, very little is done in terms of analytics, how people are doing, performance studies. Is the training helping? Do you do anything like that, or have you had any experience with analyzing how the training is going, and are the results good?
Well, now I'm trying to show the instructors how to use the different tools that they have in their LMS. So we are in a very first stage where they are now with the technology. So I teach them the basis. Let's say upload the courses, take care of your students, monitor your forums, and so on. So now they have a bunch of information, and I don't want to stress them. But from my other part, what I'm doing is, okay, my LMS has already a learning analytics. Not too much. It only shows me how many people have seen this, or how many people have not done that, or something. But what I'm doing with the LMS is watching at what time they connect to the LMS. What are they viewing? What are they not really liking because they don't get access to that? Or if the notifications are working. I don't know. I'm trying to analyze how is the experience of the student inside the LMS, because in order to analyze exactly, well, are we providing exactly the resources that they need? This is always my question. So at the end of at the end of the month, what I do is, okay, I pick up all the information, and then I mix all this data and understand exactly what's happening. If I see that there's content that nobody has visited, I ask myself why. Maybe I didn't use the correct information, or the only thing is maybe they are not really interested in that content. So I think that understand exactly what's happening in your LMS is important, because it will give you clues to do it better for the next time. I think most of us are using the LMSs just for putting content in there, but I think that we can also do a lot of things. Now I have the opportunity to get contact with some instructors that are trying to introduce some gamification elements in the LMS to enhance the participation of the students. So I think that there are a lot of people that are thinking about how to use the LMS beyond that, a repository of content.
So what kind of elements of gamification would you use for vocational training?
Well, for in my case, for example, for our group, the group that we have a, let's say, difficult group. Okay, they are in that age that they don't really want to do anything. So the idea here with we have introduced some gamification elements uh, to to enhance, or try to enhance, or to try to motivate them to get access to the LMS and keep studying. Because the problem that we have with these students is they start studying, but at some point they quit.
Right.
Okay. So the idea here is that try to maintain the interest along the year. So at the beginning of the course, we tell them a story that this is not a course, it's a journey. It's a journey in order to become an expert on something. Okay. So we are saying that if you end up the journey, you're gonna be a master of something, which is, I don't know, maybe it's a kind of romantic story.
But it's a good idea because it motivates them to get with the story, to go on that journey, because a lot of times in school there's no journey. There's no story. You just go, you don't even know why you're taking the courses you take. And especially for vocational, and we have the problem in the United States, most of the high schools got rid of vocational studies, which is awful, because these are kids who before would get out of school and had no real skill sets, and they didn't want to go to college. So now, without vocational studies, it becomes a lot harder for them to get an education, to get motivated, or to feel that they have a job. There's no story, and there's no journey. So therefore, they're bored, they quit, they drop out. We have a very high dropout rate, and that's not good. It's a real problem. But I like the idea of the journey and the story because it makes it more realistic. And it is a story. It's a journey of their life.
Yeah, exactly. This is the basic, or at least the idea behind. And apart from that, we are saying that, okay, you are in a journey. There will be different challenges. So in each challenge, if you are able to defeat the challenge, then it will be recognized. Okay, we have been using some images to illustrate their great the level of mastery, let's say. So at the beginning of the course, they earn for passing, I don't know, for passing the course, a tiny medal, a tiny image, and then they go for they go for a biggest badge at the end of the course. So it's like a kind of recognition of your effort. The thing is that in vocational training, for instance, there's something that teachers promote a lot, which is the idea of exam. The exam is when you tell to students, okay, today we're going to have an exam. The face of your student is going to, oh my God, it's an exam, terrible. And I talk to the instructors and I say, okay, why don't we change the idea of threatening your student by an exam and explain them that an exam is a challenge, and then they can make mistakes. It's okay, because in real life they can make mistakes as well. But why don't you give them the opportunity to correct that mistakes? I mean, doing mistakes is a good learning practice as well.
Right, but I think that's a good point, because a lot of times when kids take exams, they think they're being punished. They don't understand that it's a way to see how well you're doing, especially in vocational, because a lot of the exams can be hands-on. How do you do this? If you're learning, for example, automotive or air conditioning or heating or plumbing, it's real easy to test whether you cleaned something up, you fixed it, you didn't fix it. And then, of course, the theory part of it, do you understand the theory, and how do you apply the theory to the real hands-on? And so it's very, like you said, hands-on, which is good because they get immediate feedback.
Exactly. That is, at the end, the purpose of education is that your students understand and apply that knowledge. I mean, okay, if they fail the exam, okay, it's fine. So let them try it again, because they can learn from their mistakes. Okay, we have to put limits, of course.
Sure.
But what I'm saying to the instructors is, don't punish them for failing, because otherwise, in the future, you are saying to that student, okay, don't try it because you're going to fail. Okay?
Right. So they give up.
That it's not a good idea to promote that idea for the future. I mean that we have to create the idea that we have, okay, we make mistakes, but the most important thing is that you identify the mistakes, and then you have to be able to correct them.
Right.
And that's the idea.
Yeah, that sounds good. Because too many times when people fail, I've heard teachers say this: "You'll never amount to anything." Well, that's that's the same thing that doctors do. A lot of times, you go to a doctor and they'll tell you, "You have a disease and you're going to die." And it's funny. You go to another doctor and says, "You have a disease. Let's fix it." But that difference between right, but the difference is between the positive and the negative. If you tell a patient you're going to die, in their brain they're dying. If you tell a patient we can fix this, in their brain they're working to fix it, and that changes the outcome many, many times. Because, and it's the same with school. If you are told you're not smart, you can't do this, you don't have any abilities, you won't be smart. You won't have any abilities. You give up. And as a result, it shows in society where a lot of people just give up. They don't feel they can do it because they either never had the ability to do it or they never had the chance to do it.
Exactly.
So it sounds like the training you're doing is very positive, very, very optimistic. And I love the idea of telling students you're on a journey. This is your story.
This was the idea. I mean, let's see if it works or not. So now we are in a phase that we are watching what happens, and let's see after that what we'll have to fix, because I mean, it's a kind of new thing that we have introduced, because we have been working with the regular things, put case studies, scenario-based training, and so on. But now we wanted to put those elements, those gamification elements as well, explain the course as a journey instead of a course. Why a course? It's a journey. It's a journey to go for something. Well, that's the idea. Let's see how it works. Maybe we have to change anything. Maybe we have to improve how to communicate. But at the end, we want to move in that way.
Sure.
Because I think that education must be a positive thing, not people don't have to be punished for doing things wrong.
So if you had a chance and we'll make this the last question because I know you want to go to your company party.
Oh,
If
it's fine.
if you had a chance to change something in education and learning, what would it be?
There are a lot of things to change. I would say, I don't know. Well, if I, from my perspective, from the how education is, the approach of education here in Spain, I would change a lot of things. I have to say that. The thing is, how the regulations are done with. I would change our regulations. I would provide teachers the opportunity to learn more. Give them the problem with in Spain, for instance, is that we rely a lot on technology, but technology it has not to be the basic of the education.
It's just a tool. It's a tool.
Yeah, it's a tool. The problem is that there's something that is missing. We have to train the teachers how to use the technology to improve what they already know, to improve how they do things, because technology can help us to do things better or not. I don't know. I mean, if sometimes you use technology, but it's not really working as you expect because you have a wrong idea on how to use it. So I would say that I would try to work more with instructors, because I think that teachers are the key elements of a course, and not only on technology, but on how to teach things, on different, give them ideas how to present the content in a different way, because I've seen a lot of teachers just doing the traditional thing, which is I talk, you don't say anything until the end of the course.
Right.
I see that a lot of time, and I think that it's good, but I think that students that will not be able to keep those knowledge for a long time. They will pass the exam, and then next year they will forget it.
Yeah, a lot of changes in education everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, Rosalie, this has been a pleasure having you on. I mean, I've known you for years on Twitter, and where can people get a hold of you?
Oh, I don't know.
Email, Twitter?
Yeah, email, by Twitter, or what? I'm in LinkedIn as well, so they can reach me out by using a different channels.
Okay, great. Well, Rosalie, again, a pleasure having you on, and have fun at your party. You have your good company
the pleasure
party.
Is mine. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're more than welcome, and definitely have fun at that party. Enjoy it. You worked.
Thank you.
You said it's an anniversary party for the company?
Yes, for our foundation. Yes.
That's great. Well, good. Well, for all of you people in the chat room, unfortunately, nobody was monitoring the chat room today because Dawn is usually our co-host, and unfortunately, Dawn was on the road doing training and working with clients. And we have 4 other co-hosts that have come and helped throughout the years, and nobody was available. So we had nobody to monitor the chat room, and unfortunately, I don't have a second monitor on this particular machine, so I couldn't really keep an eye on it. But we appreciate you being on there, and if you are watching on Ustream Live, there's a button on top and one on the bottom to follow us. So please follow, and you'll get notifications when the shows go live. And if you're watching on Vimeo, please subscribe, give us your feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Rosalie, again, a pleasure seeing you, and we'll be talking. Have a good one.
You
Take
too.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.